Yeah, I've been doing this full time now for probably 18, 19 years, and I mean, I've led the Bassmaster Classic going into the last day, and I didn't feel the pressure that I did today. I've been with Major League Fishing from the start. I've had some pretty good tournaments, and it just so happened when we started the 2 year point average, I decided to. Sorry, but I decided to suck when it counted. So I knew going into today, really, I had to make the cut. I had to make it through the first round, and I have a knack for leading rounds and doing well up until the third period. So I was I was honestly probably the most stressed about a tournament I've been in years.
Jeff, you led wire to wire all day today, and it seemed like you just weren't going to be denied. Can you elaborate a little more on
I've had the lead a lot of times. I mean, I really have. And first round seemed to be my round. I seem to figure out how to catch a few quick, and then a lot of times what happens is I'll lead, but I'll get dialed into something that's not the right deal. And today I tried to fish real open minded. Um, I mean, I've been to the Harris chain several times. It's never been very good to me. Um, the last tournament I fished here, I actually finally caught them, and so I knew I was gonna I knew it was gonna I knew it was gonna be tough. Everybody, as soon as we unloaded at the Harris chain, every guy in this deal has been here, and everybody knows it's gonna be tough. But I think it kind of fits my style. So I knew I had a chance, and man, I did. I fished pretty good. I mean, I lost some fish, but I'm sure everybody did. But overall, I fished pretty good.
did you do very many things that were out of the ordinary to make it happen?
I started off this morning. I started off on a shell bed, and I thought I'd give that a try. That's typically the deal this time of year, and there was actually three of us started there. It was Mark Davis, Skeet Reese, and myself, and I fished that, and the water clarity is just not very good. And so I immediately picked up, and I think I caught like a 1/8, cranking. Um, and it just didn't feel right. And man, I picked up a bladed, jig, and started going, and I started getting a few bites, and I was able to catch one good one, a 3 pounder, which is that's a big fish in Florida. I mean, people don't understand about Florida. There's giants in Florida. I mean, giants. You could catch a 12 pounder any throw, but typically the fishing's pretty tough in Florida unless it's the springtime. So I felt like I made good decisions, all day. And then once that bite ended, I knew, really, I mean, when you're in Florida, the best way to catch a bass is on a straight black worm. That's it. I mean, that's just old school, but that is the best way to catch them. And I was able to slow down, and I think that was the biggest deal. I fish slow, man. Like Van Dam would have blown his head off if he saw how slow I fished.
Jeff, October is a brutal fishing time most anywhere. But when you boil it down, it was you against 9 other MFL pros on a level playing field. Can you comment on that?
October is probably most anywhere you go, unless you go up, north or something like that. September and October are the two toughest months to fish that there are, pretty much anywhere. And the reason that is because what you have is you still have fish that want to be in a summertime pattern, and it's starting to get some cooler nights and shorter days, and you have fish that are wanting to start doing their thing shallow and feed and all that. So it's a really tough month. The water's still warm, but the fish are really scattered. Um, I knew it was going to be tough. Everybody knew it was going to be tough. I mean, that's just the way it is. And for me, some guys, they fish really fast when it's tough and cover water, and that works a lot. And for me, I'm not that guy. I have to slow down and really be thorough. And there's two ways to catch them when it's hard: fish really fast, cover lots of water, or slow down and be really, really efficient. And that's the way I do it. So it worked out good for me, really. I mean, it's tough fishing, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, I might win the whole deal. The thing about Major League Fishing, the greatest thing about Major League Fishing is, to me, is, when you fish a regular tournament, which I do for a living, it's 5 bass. That's all you can catch, okay? So generally, I'm being straight up, the guy who wins the tournament may not have figured out how to catch them the best, okay? He's catching he may only get 6 bites during the day, but he caught 5 good ones. In Major League Fishing, the guy who wins the round figured out how to catch the most bass. So, the deal is in this format is to figure out when you get a bite, you push that, okay? You push that bite. Whatever you caught, you push it. When it quits, and we have the advantage of the scoreboard, okay? So I'm pushing something, and as long as I'm staying where I need to be, I don't know that I'm doing the wrong thing, but the second somebody starts, you're doing the wrong thing. You got to make a change.
Will you explain in detail what your best pattern is for today?
Okay. For me this morning, when it was, there was a little bit of shade and all that. The thing about the Harris chain is really it's a different lake than pretty much all the other Florida lakes. Okay. On a lot of these lakes, you'll have hydrilla, you'll have water hyacinths, you'll have cattails, you'll have this, you'll have that. On the Harris chain, the thing is really a different lake than all the others. The water is not very clear compared to most Florida lakes, so you can get away a lot of times with throwing a bigger bait, a lighter bait, and things like that. So this morning, the biggest thing I did, I wanted to fish wind. I wanted to make sure I was always in the wind, and I took advantage of that early bite, which was most of you have Kissimmee grass, which is hay grass, running a pretty much complete circle around the lake, but the outside edge of that's like 6 foot deep. So I concentrated on the corners. Anywhere there was a corner running into the bank, and it would be a little bit shallower. So in the morning I did that. Once the sun came up, that was done. I mean, it was completely done. And then it just goes back to the old school Florida fishing where you've got to slow down and be very proficient and really pay attention to where you're throwing. You either need a canopy or you need, when I mean a canopy, like a mat, or you need, thicker cover. And today I caught them on docks. And so the trick was the docks with the most shade, and any of the docks I could find where there was, maybe that hay grass running up against there. They all wanted to be on an edge for me today, if that makes sense.
Jeff, when you saw the overall lower total weight at the end of the first period, did you know you were going to have to grind it out?
I expected. I'll be honest. After the first period, I was leading with maybe 7 pounds 8 ounces. I think I was tied with Takahiro, and I knew the second, because I didn't have a clue we were going. As soon as we pulled over that bridge and I saw Little Lake Harris, and they pulled into that boat ramp, and we went to the Harris chain. And I don't mean this as a disrespect to the Harris chain. I knew the day was going to be a grind. But here's the deal. Not just me. Everybody in this tournament has been to the Harris chain at some point in time in their career. We've been here. I knew when we pulled up it was going to be a grind. Everybody did. I mean, that's the deal. So I knew that it was just going to be a matter of keeping a good attitude and yes, grinding out fish one at a time. There is no quick fix on the Harris chain. I knew that.
Jeff, do you feel that there is a consistency with the MLF boat officials calling the game, and can you specifically talk about the official you had today?
The boat officials they're all really cool guys when they're not in the boat with you. I took several penalties today. Had a couple fish landing violations, and I had one long penalty today. But I took advantage of a rule that is unique to Major League Fishing. They're all nice guys, but They all know the rules, and you're not going to sneak a penalty by them. That's just the way it is. You might as well not. There's no use in fussing about it. You just sit down and take it. It sucks. I mean, a 2-minute penalty sucks. A 4-minute penalty like I had today really sucked. But when I did what I did, I would have taken a 10-minute penalty to get that fish.
So elaborate on that a little bit. What did you do?
You know, I was fishing today, and I skipped up underneath the dock, and boy, one bit it. And when I set the hook, I could tell he was he wasn't a 12-ouncer. I don't know if he's a 5-pounder, a 2-pounder. I don't know, but I know he's a good one. And I had him on, and I picked up, and I knew he was still on, but there's no way I was getting him out from underneath that dock. He was stuck. And I was like, God, he came off, and then I held it, and he was still on. And I asked the butterfish, I said, can I take a penalty for leaving the boat? And he said, yes, you can take a penalty for leaving the boat. He thought I was going to jump on the dock, but I didn't. I came out of my shirt and came out of everything, and the cameraman's freaking out. Don't get the camera. So I threw the mic. I threw it on the deck, and I went in, and I think their eyes were. They didn't understand. And I went down. I swam down there. It was deeper than I thought it was going to be. It was about 5 foot deep, and I swam down there. I didn't take a big enough breath. I can promise you that, because I went down there, and I threw my rod in the boat, and I followed the line down. My hat was floating, and I felt the fish, and I'm like, oh, God. And I grabbed him, and I couldn't get him, so I had to go underwater and bite the line, and I swam up with the fish, you know. And right then I knew, I was like, man, if I don't win, when that happens and you don't win, you're not taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? That's probably the most pumped up I've ever been to catch a bass. I came out of the water it was like a 2.5-pounder, which it may not seem like much to somebody else. That's a big one here, man. That's a game changer, you know, not to mention momentum. I took a 4-minute penalty. Some old timer, man, he's like 85, comes walking down with his cane. He said, I'm 85 years old, and I had never seen nobody jump in the water and catch no bass. But it was cool.
You just took the MLF saying that every fish counts to a whole new level.
Every bass counts, man. That's the deal. If you're fishing a Bassmaster tournament, okay, when you say bass, if you're fishing a tournament and you're going and you've got 5 keepers in the boat and you flip in there and you donk off a 1.5 pounder, you're like, I didn't need him anyway. I don't care. In this deal, if somebody today, I haven't even looked at the guys that, I don't even know who made it because I was the winner, huh? But the guy, I guarantee you, somebody got knocked out today by a 12-ouncer. He got knocked out by a little old slimy crumb snatcher 12-ounce fish, man. You cannot make up for it in this deal. That's the deal. If you lose a 12-inch fish, there is no way you can make that fish up.
A lost fish never meant so much.
Never. In this format, every bass is like a 10-pounder. That's the truth.